here.
And also, just so you know, my mom was the first one to get this book.
I was one of the first ones to get this book. I was very excited. We're trying this cast again.
And look at this title. And the picture. I mean, isn't the picture so awesome?
We're very excited to share with special permission from the author, Daneen Akers, this book, Holy Troublemakers Unconventional Saints. It is a new book that came to being through a Kickstarter project, and they are actually giving out as many free copies as they possibly can right now. So at the end of this video, free, like free 99.
But it just came out.
It just came out. It's brand new.
Why is it free if it just came out?
Because they think it's super important for people to get to have access to all of these amazing stories about inspirational people, especially right now when folks are feeling lonely or maybe scared, that they should be able to have these stories to help comfort them. So today we're going to read our first story. We're going to do a different one each day, and we're going to start with someone I know a lot of us are missing, Rachel Held Evans, who passed away last year. She was an amazing mommy minister who...
Just like my mom.
Oh, best compliment ever. So today we're going to read about Rachel. And there is a beautiful illustration of her. You ready? I'll read to you, Key, and we'll read to our folks who are at their homes. On a hot summer night in 1991, a 10-year-old girl lies in bed trying to get to sleep. Everyone else in the house is already sleeping, but for young Rachel Held Evans, nighttime is often miserable. She has a skin allergy called eczema, which means she often has patches of red, itchy skin on her body. At night, with nothing else to distract her, the itching and stinging starts to feel so intense, she can't relax or fall asleep. Often her eczema sores ooze drops of blood, making her skin even more uncomfortable and her bed sheets a mess. This sounds awful.
By the way, when I was scratching my face, it actually kind of did hurt.
Yeah. Daytime brings its own challenges. Rachel feels different from other kids. Have you ever felt different from other kids?
Totally.
Me too.
Why I feel different is because, according to lots of my friends, I do girl stuff.
But we don't think that there's boy stuff and girl stuff, do we?
No.
We're just people are people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not girl stuff and boy stuff. It's stuff that girls like most of the time and stuff that boys like most of the time.
Okay. So, let's see. Rachel feels different from other kids. Often she can't participate in PE class, that means gym class, due to her rashes. The one on the back of her knees especially bother her if she gets sweaty, but nighttime is the worst. Some nights her parents make her take a bath in vinegar because doctors say it's supposed to help, but Rachel is left with an overwhelming smell of vinegar all over her body that turns her stomach.
Also, guys, just so you know, never drink vinegar.
Well, it's healthy for you, but it tastes kind of gross, huh? Although you and your brother like vinegar stuff. You like pickles and olives and all that. Yeah. Okay.
By the way, you have just quit the...
Back to Rachel. Okay. Rachel also spoke up about unfair policies in the church. Above her writing desk, she kept a small sign on... Whoops, we skipped a page. No wonder, that wasn't making sense. Woo.
Just so you know,
Okay.
I was not mocking my mom.
Was he? You can tell me. If he was, put it in the comments. Ha! You're busted. You'll be caught.
No.
Okay.
I really said so, Mom.
Hi, sweetie. Rachel's dad gently calls as he opens her bedroom door. I got up and heard you were still awake. Are you okay? Rachel melts into tears as her father comes over and kneels beside her bed. He strokes her cheek and her hair. I hate this smell, she says. through her tears, and the vinegar didn't even help. It still hurts everywhere. Her father sighs and holds her while she cries. I'm so sorry, honey. Dad, why did Jesus let this happen to me? I think that's a question a lot of us ask sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, why did Jesus let me act like things my friends say is for good?
Well, because God made you special, right? God made each of us special. We're our own person.
Yeah,
And we each have our own things that make us excited and things that make us sad.
Oh, and fun fact, if you looked at the sign, we would have serious trouble telling who is who.
Fact. Okay, back to Rachel. All right, her father sighs and holds her while she cries. I'm so sorry, honey. There it was. That was the big question that had been turning over and over in Rachel's mind at night as her body itched and burned and refused to fall asleep. As her body ached, her mind wrestled with the basic ideas of how a good God could let this happen to a small child. I think a lot of us are asking those kind of questions right now, with worrying about family who are sick, worried about strangers who are sick,
and also
worried about
family members who you love so much, who are old enough to go
yes,
from the coronavirus.
You're really worried about Grandma and Grandpa Ducky because they're at risk, is what we say. Yeah. So, Rachel grew up in Alabama and Tennessee in the Bible Belt of the U.S. This nickname refers to the many churches in the region and the fact that most people identify as Christian. Rachel's parents taught her that God loved her and cared about her. Everything about God was good, but Rachel had been struggling to reconcile the idea of a good and loving God.
Christian technically means, how do I put this? People who go to church?
Well, not everybody who's a Christian goes to church. Not everybody who goes to church is necessarily a Christian. A Christian is someone who believes in the teachings of Jesus and says, I want to follow those choices.
Mom, I'm only 6 years old. How do you expect me to know that?
It was a good starting guess. It was. All right. But Rachel had been struggling to reconcile the idea of a good and loving God with her daily pain and misery. If God was so powerful and so good, why did she have such terrible eczema?
Okay.
This answer stunned Rachel. Rachel, I don't know, her dad said. But I do know that God loves you. This answer stunned Rachel. Her father didn't know.
This is the mic I like.
Rachel's father was a pastor and religion teacher. He had studied for many years at a seminary, a school where people study ideas about God, learn the languages that the Bible was originally written in, and trained to be pastors and religion teachers. Looking back on this night when she was 10 years old and struggling with both her physical pain and her complicated ideas about God, Rachel later saw her father's answer as a really beautiful gift. He helped her learn that it's okay to question God, and it's okay to say, I don't know. Those are really important lessons.
Yeah, especially if you feel like it's just something that it's just you can't say I don't know. Some people feel that way.
It's okay to not know, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Even if it's something about God, is it okay to not know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because...
There's one thing that nobody in the whole world knows about God. How did he come back? I mean, Jesus, who is like God a lot. How did Jesus come back to life?
Well, that's true. We don't exactly know how, but we also don't even know if God is a he or a she or neither one or both.
Or if he's just like a light, like Gollum in Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah, maybe just a light. I don't get the Smash Brothers reference, but that's okay.
It's because in the center of Gollum is a big light energy board.
So much education going on here today.
Smash Brothers is a video game where a bunch of Nintendo characters fight, and I don't know how to explain what Nintendo is.
How about if we focus back on Rachel again? Okay, all right. Rachel became well known for her questions about God and faith. Her first book chronicled her journey to learn more about science and evolution. You love science. She grew up in the town where the famous Scopes monkey trial happened in 1925, and figuring out if she could have faith while also trusting scientific knowledge was a challenge for her.
Definitely a challenge, probably.
Rachel studied and read widely about theology, which just is a big word that means ideas about God. Yet she still had plenty of questions. One of her favorite Bible stories was the one about Jacob wrestling in the night with a stranger who turned out to be God. It's okay to wrestle with God, she said. God is truly okay with that. Are you like mind blown right now? Because God is big enough to handle all of our questions.
Wrestling with God, I think is impossible.
I think it's totally possible.
Mom.
All right, Rachel wrote numerous magazine articles and blog posts in addition to 4 books
that can make
talking honestly about her faith, especially questions about God that she didn't have easy answers for. My dad taught me that night that I don't have to have God all figured out to have a relationship with God. You can wrestle with the divine, she said. At the same time, my dad also gave me a solid foundation in which to wrestle. What he did know for sure was that God loves me. Rachel's honest writing about her own doubts and questions have become beacons of light for many others who find themselves with the same questions. Often late at night when the rest of the household is quiet and still, people find Rachel's writing full of honest insights, regardless of where they live. Reading her words makes them feel less alone. Rachel was able to be a comforting presence to others, just like her father was to her that night when he came into her room to check on her. Because of him, Rachel boldly said, I don't know all of the answers. It's okay to have questions. It's okay to be angry even. But I do know that the essence
okay to be angry.
That the essence of the divine is love. In the midst of your questions, you are fully loved right now, just as you are. Let's say that part again. You are fully loved, just as you are. Rachel also... We keep falling. Thanks, Keith.
Okay.
Rachel also spoke up about unfair policies in the church. Above her writing desk... I know.
Oh, and if you ever try to do a video like us, what happens with us, and which makes you stare at the woods right there, is, well, probably, because you,
It just keeps falling over.
yeah, it just keeps on falling.
Okay, let's see. Above her writing desk, she kept a small sign on which she had written, "Tell the truth." She knew that the truth held power. As the Christian scriptures say, the truth will set you free. John 8:32. But Rachel also knew that speaking and writing the truth often upset powerful people. She kept on telling the truth anyway. And she kept on assuring people that no matter what pastors and church officials might say, God always loves each and every person. Rachel was especially passionate when people were being treated in a way that she knew didn't measure up to the life and teachings of Jesus. She became a vocal advocate for the full inclusion of LGBTQ people in church, as well as for women who were serving in senior positions in the church. Despite the protests of more conservative voices who thought only men could have authority in the church. This is getting ridiculous.
Only men?
Yeah, there are a lot of churches that think only men should be in leadership in the church. What do you think about that?
Crazy. Also, that might be why my dad's a pastor at his church.
Well, I think Daddy's a pastor at his church because he's a great pastor. But
And
he has...
also probably because he was looking for a job besides to babysit my good friend Gabe.
He did watch Gabe for a while because he was so good at taking care of you and your brother. All right.
So he decided to take care of Gabe.
She also publicly reminded Christian leaders that Jesus always would have chosen to go home to dinner with the very people the church was forgetting or rejecting. Rachel's vision of the church included everyone. There were a lot more people then. In May of 2019,
Not a lot more.
Rachel died unexpectedly after a short illness. She was only 37 years old, with a husband and 2 young children. How old is Mommy? Do you remember? I just turned 38. So shock and grief spread quickly, not just in Rachel's immediate family, but Rachel's words had given life, hope, and meaning to so many people. People from all over the world wrote tributes and remembrances of her. They told stories of how Rachel's words inspired them. Women told of going into ministry because of Rachel. LGBTQ people said they finally realized they were fully loved by the divine because of Rachel. And all kinds of people said they found their way back to a relationship with God because of her work. In an interview for this book, Rachel talked about loving and mothering metaphors for God found throughout the Bible. They became especially meaningful to her after she became a mother herself. She particularly loved the image of God, the mother hen, gathering her chicks under her wings in Matthew 23:37.
Also, one thing. People cannot lay eggs.
That's true. People cannot lay eggs, but this was a metaphor for God. So now Rachel is gathered up in that great mystery of the beyond, somehow gathered under God's soft, warm wings. And those of us still on this side of that great mystery have her words and witness to continue to guide us. So, the question posed at the end of today's chapter is, do you have questions that cause you to wrestle with God? And I would add, do you have someone who has helped you to feel and understand that you are fully loved by the divine? And we invite you to leave comments and messages under this video.
Oh, and just so you know, everybody who watches this say, I did not mock my mom, because I didn't.
If you didn't get to see that part of the video earlier, he's trying to make sure he doesn't get caught having made faces.
Yeah, and I didn't.
So, you know what? Even if you did, I fully love you. Can I give you a kiss? Well, we love you, and we hope that you feel a little less lonely after watching this video.
One more thing. How do you know who's watching this?
I don't know. I don't know who's watching right now. I don't know who's going to watch it later. But I know that the love that God has put in our hearts is for everybody. So we love you with the love of God. And we hope that you have a beautiful day.
Oh, wait. One more thing. My brother is trying to be...
Bye, everybody. See you tomorrow.